Hello BookTube, it's Lane Cooper here, and today I'm bringing you another Top 5 Wednesday. This week's topic is Top 5 Problematic Faves. I'm interpreting problematic faves as favorite characters who maybe aren't the best people or do problematic things, anti-heroes, or in some respects villains at some time, but I still kind of love them. So, in no particular order, number 5 is going to be Laurent from Captive Prince. And I think Laurent's journey as a problematic character, I think, evolves over the course of the whole Captive Prince trilogy. In the first book, he's definitely extremely problematic and antagonistic character to Damon, who is our point of view protagonist. But through the course of the trilogy, we do start to understand that there are depths to Laurent's character, and there's quite a lot going on that Damon can't see, doesn't know about, and also doesn't have a frame of reference for. I think some of the things that Damon sees Laurent doing, especially in book 1, that are problematic elements, especially like the slavery elements in the kingdom of which Laurent is the crown prince and does participate in them. Damon doesn't have a cultural understanding or a cultural perspective to put the things that he is seeing, like the social things that he's seeing, into a understandable context. And I'm not gonna like argue slavery in the Captive Prince trilogy books. That's not what I'm here to do. But I will say that Damon and Laurent come from very different cultures. Damon does not have a whole lot of knowledge about Laurent's culture. And Damon is also put into a very bad situation in book 1, and that's because there are a lot of antagonists in these books. Some of them are very obvious, some of them are less obvious. For a time, Laurent is very much an antagonist. He does make mistakes, he does do terrible things, he does take out anger and frustration on Damon, but there are reasons for that, and I don't want to justify that. He does some shitty things, but shitty things have also happened to him, and as people, we can only operate with the pieces of information that we have. The same thing goes for characters, because a character isn't omniscient, right? Anyways, he's a bit of a problematic fave, especially in the first book. I love him. He's broken and sassy and incredibly clever, and broken, clever, sharp-tongued characters are just, I am so weak for them. Which brings us to my next problematic fave. Another incredibly smart, sharp-tongued, acerbic character. And this would be Rodney McKay from Stargate Atlantis. Rodney McKay guest starred in 2 episodes of Stargate SG-1. And he was an asshole. Just a complete asshole. Totally irritating character. But I loved him as a character. I thought, because like, I don't have to like a character to find a character like fun to watch, fun to listen to, interesting to watch. And he was like so annoying, but there were also depths to his character, and he was just smart, but also not as smart as he thought, but also as smart as he thought. Anyways, loved him. And then when Stargate decided to do its first spin-off, Stargate Atlantis, I was like, okay. But then I found out that Rodney McKay was going to be on the show as a main character. And I was like, okay, you've sold me. I'll watch it. It was so cool getting to see his character develop. Because even though, yes, he's a total know-it-all, too smart for his own good asshole who just has no people skills, doesn't care about people skills, has no qualms calling people idiots when they're idiots, everyone is less intelligent than him, and he's very loud and obnoxious about it. But like I said, there were also these other depths to the character that we only got like a very tiny hint at, and we actually got to see him grow and change and fail and try harder and try to grow and fail. And like, he actually had quite a kind of rich character depth for all the fact that he was kind of a bunch of scientist stereotypes shoved together. Also, I think that David Hewlett is incredibly funny. He's the actor who played him, and it was always a joy watching him play the character. I just really missed that show. And I loved the banter between Shepard and McKay. Yes, I do ship McShep. It was also a really great time to be in fandom. Stargate Atlantis fandom will always have a place in my heart. I've never actually watched the season finale, so to me, they'll always be on Atlantis in the Pegasus Galaxy. So my next problematic fave, I guess, is gonna be Loki from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm not all caught up on Marvel. The last film I saw was Avengers 2, whatever that one was, Ultron. I really liked the first run of films. So I really liked the first and second. I actually really liked all 3 Iron Man movies. I liked the first Captain America movie. I really loved the first Thor movie. But I hated the Avengers. Like there's some pieces in like the first Avengers film that are okay. I like Paul Bettany's Ultron in Avengers 2. But for the most part, I don't like the Avengers movies. I hate the way they were written. I don't understand what Joss Whedon was doing. I don't like them. And I struggle with Avengers, the first Avengers film, because I really, really loved Loki from the first Thor film. And there are a couple of moments with his character in the first Avengers film that I really love. But also I really just hate how all of the characters were handled in it. So, and it really, the whole Avengers thing really turned me off from MCU. But before that happened, I really loved Loki, especially like in Thor, the first Thor film. He was just, I thought the performance was powerful and interesting and heartbreaking. And I thought there was something so Shakespearean about Thor, and maybe it's a cliche to say that because we all know Kenneth Branagh directed it, but there just was, and it was so great. And I think Loki is maybe not a problematic fave per se, because I really love this idea of Loki as this agent of chaos, like a true neutral, like a neutral chaos character, neither good nor evil. And I like that concept, and I like that sometimes he does okay things and sometimes he does really fucked up things, and I had a lot of feelings after the first Thor film. And he's totally a self-serving trickster, but I think that can be such a great character if done correctly, because there's nothing more satisfying than a self-serving trickster doing something almost selfless. Then number 2 would be the dragon from Uprooted. If you haven't read Uprooted, I don't think it's really a spoiler. The dragon is not actually a dragon, it's a wizard in a tower. And the dragon is another one of those incredibly smart, too smart for his own good, smarter than everyone else around him, bitchy, acerbic characters. And it's just my type. And I think the thing that makes them problematic is they're usually assholes to people, and they usually tend to maybe be a little bit more selfish or self-centered or treat people like shit, which I find kind of problematic. And you can disagree with me on that definition, but it's kind of how I feel about it. And the dragon is all of those things. He's definitely a little self-centered, pretty shitty, but he's shitty to everyone because he's a little full of himself. He's really full of himself. He's not a villain. He actually is working really hard to save people. And it kind of goes back to, there's nothing I love more than seeing a really self-centered character working to help other people, because it's just this complex dichotomy in someone's character that really can happen, and it gives them like a nuance, and it gives them a conflict between, you know, wants, desires, and how to make decisions in where they put their energy or what they prioritize. I really love the dragon. I also really love the fact that even though he is Agnieszka's teacher, she's definitely the more dominant personality. Even though he is maybe more powerful, he's definitely older. He has a lot more experience. He has a lot more training, but she is actually the dominant personality when it comes right down to it. And I love that. And I love the fact that he grows to respect her as a person. I think some people talk about it being an unhealthy relationship or an unhealthy relationship dynamic between the dragon and Agnieszka. I don't necessarily agree, because I don't think he's not just an asshole to Agnieszka. He's an asshole to everyone. He's got a character flaw, and he leads right into number one, my last problematic fave on this list, which is Draco Malfoy. So Draco Malfoy is an obviously problematic character. He does a lot of really shitty things. He is an asshole to the other kids at Hogwarts, you know, to like Hermione. He's a terrible, not a race, blood purist, whatever you want to call that term. He does become a Death Eater, obviously. He does do pretty shitty things, of which we only get a tiny glimpse, you know, as a Death Eater working for Voldemort. But I think there's a lot going on with his character that, again, we only get pieces of. He's a child who's raised in a horrible, gross, blood purist, racist, nationalist environment, essentially, who regurgitates the teachings that he's indoctrinated with. So it's not surprising he's a terrible person. Is that an excuse? No. He's problematic. He is. And what kind of irritates me is that J.K. Rowling didn't do much of anything to dig into that. His character was really just, for someone who Harry was so fixated on, and who was fixated on Harry for so much, his character is really neglected in the second half of the series. I remember long before I ever watched or saw any of the films, I remember asking someone if Draco Malfoy had a redemption arc. Because just from living on the periphery of Harry Potter land and just, you know, seeing the trailers for the movies and being like roughly familiar with what the plot was, I had an idea that obviously like Draco and Harry were antagonists and like rivals or something, and that Draco is a real asshole, and it seemed like the perfect setup for a redemption arc. And I remember my friend telling me, yeah, no, he doesn't really get one. And I mean, this was literally years before I ever watched the films or even read the books. And it's really stuck with me how disappointing finding that out was, because I think it was kind of one of the biggest missed opportunities she left open. Instead, we got her trying to shoe in almost a redemption arc for Snape, which I don't care about and I don't agree with, and I think is definitely her attempt at retconning what a shithead Severus Snape was. Severus Snape was an adult who decided to become a Death Eater, who couldn't take no for an answer, who tortured, like psychologically tortured, and was horrible to the son of the woman he supposedly loved just because the son happened to be the son of his personal rival. Like, there are so many problematic things about Severus Snape, and he never actually really acts in a way to redeem himself. I can't stand the Snape apologetics. And I'm not trying to be like a Draco apologetic. He doesn't have a redemption arc, and I think what irritates me is he's just so perfect for an actual redemption arc because he's actually a child being brainwashed, and that never... A child being brainwashed who very clearly at the end realizes he's in too deep, and that we never get that resolved or looked at or anything. So yeah, I really like Draco Malfoy for lost opportunities. Lost great opportunities. Those are 5 characters who are shitty, problematic people who sometimes do shitty, problematic things, but who I think are really interesting, great characters, and I can't help but love them. Let me know who your favorite problematic character is, book, film, or movie, down below in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video or any of my other content, be sure and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in my next video.